All right, welcome to Mystery Wire. Glad to have you with us here with George Knapp. I'm Ron Futuro.
Hey, Ron. How you
George,
doing?
howdy. I'm doing well. Good to see you.
Got some good stuff here today.
Oh, I'm looking
this
forward to this
special.
episode.
Yeah.
We've also got John Forrest and Carlos Sampson here helping us out, putting this episode together. We are talking Skinwalker Ranch and the History Channel show that I've done a deep dive into, now in its 7th season, The Secret of Skinwalker, one of the highest rated shows from what I understand on the History Channel, doing very well. The owner of the ranch and also one of the stars of the show, Brandon Fugal, is with us. George, you, of course, wrote the book. You wrote the book on Skinwalker Ranch, and now Brandon's a key figure, certainly, in all of this.
He is the steward of the ranch, an able steward, I would say, a worthwhile steward. He's taken over and taken it to new heights. Brandon is perhaps the most successful commercial real estate guy in the whole state of Utah. He had an interest, met some people that were associated with the Bigelow era of the ranch, and got an interest himself and bought it 10 years ago this year and has taken the investigation to new heights. Brandon, I guess happy anniversary. Maybe it's 10 years since you took over the ranch?
Indeed, my friend. Over 10 years of investigation under my stewardship at Skinwalker Ranch. And as you know better than anyone, I bought it as a skeptic. Did not expect that I would ever see anything unusual. I bought it in secret.
Yeah.
Was never going to reveal my identity, but life had a different plan. And now I'm not a believer. I'm an experiencer. And the hit docuseries on the History Channel, which airs every Tuesday night, has really brought to the public an unprecedented view into the world's leading frontier science investigation at the number one most scientifically studied paranormal hotspot on the planet, Skinwalker Ranch.
Let's talk about your transformation. As you mentioned, you were a skeptic going in, and for a while, you didn't let it be known that you're the guy who bought the ranch away from Bigelow. I imagine you had some trepidation back then. How is it going to go over in your career in commercial real estate? You're dealing with power brokers, the most powerful people in the state, both political and economic. You had to be worried at some point. And now, would you say that the transformation has made it where it's an asset for you?
That's a great question. It's been an interesting journey. I bought the ranch never intending to reveal my identity as the owner or the steward, simply because I didn't want my name ever associated with these topics. I really didn't believe that there was any truth to the claims. I thought it was interesting, but nothing more than an adult scientific snipe hunt and the product of groupthink. And so for 4 years, though, I kept my identity secret for a reason. But I had a transformational experience about 6 months into owning the ranch, where I was hosting some dignitaries, and we had all sorts of strange phenomena actually occur on that day that culminated in a sighting of a flying saucer right above the mesa plateau that runs the expanse of the property. That was witnessed by others sitting there with me, and that event, which lasted all of 20 seconds, but was a stunning sighting in broad daylight of a craft of unknown origin that was conducting maneuvers with split-second speed, and then gone after about 20 seconds of really, I think, maneuvering right ahead of us over the ranch. Changed me from being an open-minded skeptic to an experiencer, and then thrust me into this world where we've invested not just millions, but now tens of millions of dollars into a leading frontier scientific investigation into this most enigmatic piece of property that was part of a Pentagon-funded black budget program that you, George, actually reported and broke the story on. So we're kind of having a full circle moment here with you relative
Yes.
to this incredible property.
It's risky. It takes courage to tackle this, as you and your team have done, because you don't know what you're dealing with. I mean, it changes. The only thing that's constant at the ranch is change, that the phenomena itself changes. I remember talking to you and your team before the TV shows began, and cautioning, hey, this thing might decide to up and leave. It hasn't,
Yeah,
but it has transformed an awful lot, hasn't it?
it has the phenomena. It's transient. It's unpredictable. It's always two steps ahead of us, it seems. There's a trickster element to what we are dealing with, and there's even some dark, more negative forces at play here. There's a reason why this property has been locked down with armed 24/7 surveillance. I mean, we've had armed guarded surveillance for now 30 years on this property between my stewardship and my predecessor, Robert Bigelow. And it's for a reason. It's because this place is dangerous. People have ended up in the hospital with mysterious illnesses, injuries. It's a very sensitive scientific investigation. And phenomena, as you know, George, you've reported on it. Phenomena follows people home that come out to visit the ranch on occasion. We call it the hitchhiker effect, which has had a profound impact, not only, I believe, on my predecessor, Robert Bigelow, who owned it for decades before, but military officials and other scientists that have visited the ranch that have had strange phenomena follow them home and really wreak havoc even in their own families.
I know that at least one of your team members has had it follow him. How about you?
Yeah.
The last time you and
Yeah.
I talked, it had not followed you at home.
Yeah, I was fortunate. I went most of the last decade without ever experiencing that until about 2 years ago, George.
Oh,
2 years ago,
Oh,
that all
okay.
changed. We had a day of experiments, very aggressive experiments that involved my helicopter and another craft that were conducting very aggressive um, investigation over the ranch using some new equipment, and everything went wrong that day. We're very fortunate that people didn't die that day, and something followed me home, and it took weeks to be able to eradicate it, to get it to leave our home. It really it was an unsettling experience that my wife and I still reflect on. That again is part of the stewardship and some of the more unfortunate uh, consequences of being involved with Skinwalker Ranch.
No, I'd like to talk more about that experience. Also, with the dignitaries, you said some of the when you saw an aircraft fly over you early on in your ownership of this property, and there were dignitaries there that you were hosting at the time. What was their reaction?
Well, it was, to be very clear, it was a flying saucer. I mean, I was hosting a former surgeon from Area 51, retired medical professional whose number one bucket list item in his life was to visit Skinwalker Ranch. I granted the request. We hosted he and his team, his security, who spent the day with us. And as we are winding down a very eventful day of electromagnetic anomalies, equipment malfunction, even all of our smartphones had been drained simultaneously. As we were going back to retrieve our phones, right ahead of us in broad daylight, 4 o'clock in the afternoon on October 14th, 2016, a 40, 50-foot long silver grayish disc-like object appeared right above the mesa in front of us in broad daylight and started conducting maneuvers, could change position in the blink of an eye. And after conducting a number of maneuvers, almost looking like he was surveying the property or even us, it was gone. It just either sped off at some unbelievable speed or was able to cloak itself or blink out of this reality. But it was very physical, was very real. It speaks to the nuts and bolts nature of the phenomena, um, which is up for debate. But there's something very physical happening at Skinwalker Ranch, and we're fortunate to be part of, I think, the world's leading living laboratory studying the phenomena.
Okay, we've got to take a break right now. When we come back, want to talk. We've got plenty of questions, certainly between George and I, that we can cover with you. Brandon Fugal is our guest here, talking about the secret of Skinwalker Ranch, the History Channel special. August 18th is the series finale. It's every Tuesday night on the History Channel. We'll take a quick break on Mystery Wire and be right back. All right, we continue with Brandon Fugal, who is coming to us from Utah here, and discussing Skinwalker Ranch and the show that. Look what you started, George.
Not my fault.
I'm going to put it on. I'm going to put it on. You started. One of the great lines in watching some of the episodes last night from season 7 on the History Channel. Something's not playing nice here. I heard one of you. It might have been you on the show. Something's not playing very nice here, which that seems to be a recurring theme, and that's putting it mildly. Would you say something's not playing nice because you've
Yeah.
had more extreme things than just that happening, than not playing nice?
No, we've had some really disturbing things happen, and we've had some really groundbreaking observations this season, which are continuing to be unveiled over the course of the next few days as we race to the season finale. We had a return to Homestead 2. One of the most unique features of the ranch is its old pioneer homesteads. And Homestead 2 and Homestead 3 have been centers of gravity for strange phenomena that have been caught on camera, that have been recorded with scientific instrumentation, and are part of the overall historical narrative going back to the Bigelow investigation that George Knapp has so expertly reported on for decades. So we've had a return back to some of the more mysterious portions of the ranch and locations to get better data and to follow up there, as well as testing what is both above and below this property to hopefully lead us to the answers.
One of the things that the great successes of this season in particular is really nailing down evidence of interference with equipment of all kinds. It used to
Right.
be the Bigelow guys, the NIDS guys would have batteries die, cameras die, vehicles die, all kinds of stuff that they suspected was related to whatever the intelligence is on the ranch, but couldn't really prove it. This time you're doing experiments. It's sort of like poking the bear, shooting rockets and floating drones over a particular area of the ranch. Very clearly has been affected by whatever it is that's there, and you've got it on camera.
Yeah, Dr. Taylor calls it poking the hornet's nest.
Right.
And one thing that distinguishes our investigation and this very real docuseries from all others is the fact that we are led by the data, not an inherited narrative. We are letting the data guide, and we're using the scientific method to frankly document and better understand the nature of what is at play at Skinwalker Ranch and what we're actually dealing with. Who or what are we interacting with on this really strange property with an unusual history?
Can you describe where you are now, what your team figures that is documentable? It seems like there's a dome that affects equipment, drones, rockets, GPS, things of that sort, and that it emanates perhaps from whatever is inside that mesa, and it appears to be a physical object manufactured. Can you give our listeners an
Okay.
update on what you've proven and what you've succeeded in proving this season in particular?
Oh, without question, we've documented the reality of a field or a bubble that actually encompasses a portion of this ranch and seems to not only deflect or defy everything from rockets, instrumented balloons, drones, but it has an impact on GPS. GPS does not function properly over this property, nor do compasses, for example. But in addition to that, and you alluded to this, George, we've extracted strange, manufactured, engineered material from deep within the mesa. So from hundreds of feet within this mesa plateau, we've extracted material of unknown origin that is not natural, which points to something very unusual being buried on this ranch that may be part of the mechanism at play, whether it be we've we've had some speculation as to whether it's a Stargate, a portal, an interdimensional highway of sorts. But above the ranch, we've also documented the reality that there's structure. We've had this this blob, this phenomena with structure that we've also been able to map and that we've caught on camera from multiple viewpoints. And I don't think it's a coincidence that when we poke the hornet's nest and we go out there with our instruments, unidentified aerial phenomena appear. UAP or UFO activity just happens to appear.
You want to take a second and clear your throat? We can edit that out.
The mesa seems to be, as you mentioned there, the mesa seems to be the focal point of something inside there. So the artifacts the small little pieces of material that was taken from there and analyzed, by the way, at Utah Valley University, which, thank you, my daughter went to school there. So, and I understand
Right.
you went to school there as well in Orem, Utah. And so that put a smile on my face, but having the scientists there examine it. And are you going to be able to find out what exactly is in this mesa that's causing this to happen? You're digging holes through it. You're sending probes down through it.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you bring that up. We have engaged third-party experts, institutions. I mean, Utah Valley University is the largest university in the state of Utah with one of the most advanced scanning electron microscopes. Having the physicists there study and analyze the material that we've been extracting in conjunction with our investigation has been important. We've also had others that have been part of the investigation that have tested everything from brain functions on the ranch to even bringing in a biologist that was a key part of verifying that we found what can only be matched up with and described as a dire wolf that was decomposing within Dry Gulch Creek that cuts within the property. So we've been delving into all of those things with this season, as far as going back to the mysterious homesteads, testing what is both above and below the property, and also, trying to bring in everyone from Native American spiritual leaders, shaman, to additional third-party experts from all over the world to help us understand and document what is happening. We just have to be very careful because every year we end up having some unfortunate events, and there's a reason for caution and really approaching these topics and this property with humility.
You got some really smart guys working for you, Dr. Travis Taylor and Eric Bard. I wonder if they,
Eric Bard.
in their off time, have they speculated or reverse engineered, at least in their mind, what technology can accomplish what's been happening on that ranch? The drones. You had 4 drones that dropped right out of the sky. Everybody had to run for their lives before they get hit in the head. But what could do that? What is it that does that?
Well, we have yet to be able to find any satisfactory answer to what could be literally reprogramming instantaneously or manipulating the equipment, disrupting our investigation on a constant basis. There really isn't a natural prosaic explanation or conventional explanation, George. And that's part of what drives this investigation. Then you match that with the acute medical episodes, injuries like you had with Thomas Winterton, where he ended up dying and ended up almost dying in the hospital with some very serious injuries. Also, Dr. Taylor, the first year that he came out as a skeptic, now turned experiencer, even Dr. Taylor ended up going to the hospital dealing with unexplained injuries. So this investigation is not for the faint of heart. I think there's a reason why this was part of a Pentagon-funded black budget program, and we take this very seriously.
Is there ongoing surveillance of your operation by parties unknown? And I ask in
Absolutely.
this context, let's say you get into that mesa, you confirm that it's some ancient buried spacecraft or technology. I'd worry that somebody would come and grab it.
Yeah, we've had some covert military surveillance of the property that has all been caught on camera, that we've documented, that is unpredictable, that happens to show up in tandem with a lot of our research and experiments. We've also had some what I think are really disturbing things happen over the course of the last few months. We've had an operation come right up to the border of the property, right on top of the mesa, right on top of where we're trying to get answers. And it's troubling. The amount of disruption and covert surveillance, and even some of these other, what I believe to be bad actors involved with either thwarting our investigation or mounting their own surveillance of what we are doing and what we're discovering. It's pretty agitating.
Okay, The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch is the show. We're talking with Brandon Fugal. It's on the History Channel every Tuesday night, and of course, the season finale is going to be on the 18th of August. We're going to take a quick break. One final segment right after this. What's great about talking with Brandon Fugal and you, George, on this topic is we could do hours. First of all, let's go there. But under time constraints, this is one show. We're going to do a part 2 with Brandon. So next Thursday night, we're going to drop another episode of this, The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, talking about the History Channel episode. What are some of the things you want to jump into with him?
Well, I want to get in the spiritual side of this. We've been hearing a lot of talk in Washington, the vice president talking about UFOs, the information coming out of the Trump administration, releases of old files and videos and things, and a lot of speculation that whatever this is, it's demonic as opposed to extraterrestrial. Those kinds of ideas have been floated about Skinwalker Ranch for a long time. One of the reasons the OSAP program, the DIA investigation, was canceled is because some muckety-mucks in the Pentagon thought, hey, you're messing with demonic forces here. Investigating this is inviting big trouble from really bad entities in the world. So I want to get his take on that. Also, I think it's worth talking about not only the transformation of the ranch and the transformation of the investigation, but of Brandon himself. He's a polite guy. He always is good-natured in his exchanges with the public. He answers ridiculously hostile questions in the most professional way. But I've seen him take people on, in social media and stuff, and respond to hostile attacks in a very pointed way. Doesn't have to call anybody and talk about their mom or something like that, but he gets right down to it and gets in people's faces and responding to them.
Okay, look forward to that. That will be part 2. You'll be able to see it on our YouTube pages, certainly. We get a lot of people watching there, or download the app onto your smart TV, and we can do that. But that's the end of episode 1, Skinwalker Insider. For George Knapp, I'm Ron Futrell. Don't forget, August 18th, the series finale of The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. Bye for now, everybody. Thanks for watching.